So I'm Olivier from Paris. I'm really happy to be talking to you guys. So my first question. So the movie is called Scream and not Scream 5, like a lot of people say on the internet. So why this simple title? It's like a direct response to the first movie, or?
I'll answer this one, Matt.
Go for it.
Yeah, I think for us, what we definitely wanted to do was remind audiences that we're going back to the sort of the DNA of what this thing is. That this is a Scream movie. The blueprint of what this movie is in every way an homage, a love letter, and is an extension of what we love about the original and the original. I mean, all of the originals, but particularly the first movie. And we should also say that, without spoiling anything, that that choice is also there is a reason for the choice of the title, and that will be explored in the movie.
So how important was Scream in your horror upbringing as horror movie fans?
Huge, gigantic.
It's often called. I can hear you. Come back to us. Nope.
You hear me?
There you are. No, you're right.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, it was huge. I mean, it is in a lot of ways a gateway horror movie, and it's also everything that any hardcore horror movie is. And it's a tone that for us we had not really seen before in horror. We're giant fans of a lot of the 80s action movies where they have action and comedy, and Scream it's funny, it's horrific, it's emotional, and for us those are the three things we love more than anything in a movie, and it kind of set the template for us well before we were ever involved in Scream 5 2022. But and so then to be able to be involved in this, just a dream come true.
Yeah, it seems natural. When I saw like your previous movie, Ready or Not, there was this mix between horror and comedy that we can find in Scream and in a lot of Wes Craven movies.
Yeah, I mean, I think Wes and the tone that he creates was so instrumental in influencing how we the kind of stories that we want to tell and how we want to tell them. And honestly, when we were pitching Ready or Not, when we were trying to get that movie made, obviously that tone is very present, and as a comp, Scream was the thing that we kept talking about. Like, guys, we can do it successfully. It doesn't just have to be funny. It doesn't just have to be scary. It can be all of those things, and it can be grounded, and it can all feel, those things can coexist in a way that's really singular. And Scream was, I mean, if not for Scream, I don't think we would be making the movies that we're making, but we certainly wouldn't have known how to sell that tone. I mean, that movie is just such a perfect example of how those things can mix successfully.
So when you were offered this new Scream, did you say yes right away, or did you panic at first? How did you react?
Both. Complete panic. And also, oh my God, yes. We had found out that one of the writers, there's two writers, Jamie Vanderbilt and Guy Busick, and we had found out that Jamie was working on it about a month before we got involved. And we walked out of the meeting where we found that out and all turned to each other and were like, holy crap, Jamie's writing Scream. That's incredible. And then fast forward a month and he was like, I want you guys to direct it. And I think all of our heads exploded. And so it was a lot of panic, but then we went and sat down, read the script for the first time. And it was magical as a Scream fan, because you're reading what you hope and know will become the next Scream movie. And it was surreal. And honestly, it's been surreal from that moment.
Every day since.
Yeah.
So how can you pitch us the movie? Simply, of course, without spoilers, nothing. But what would you say, like, to present the movie?
Here,
there are some characters. There's some characters. There's a ghost face. It's funny. It's scary. It's so hard. It's so hard to talk about it without spoiling it. I mean, one of the things that we've, as fans of the movies, have always wanted to go into a new movie, a new Scream movie, knowing nothing. Like, that's been so important to us, that all of the mystery and all of the thrill is as preserved as possible, so that you only get to have the experience for the first time once. And I'm sure that in hindsight we will probably realize that we could have talked a lot more about what the movie is, but we are so protective of the fan experience, and we want everyone to like have the most kind of pristine version of the movie and of that experience when they see it for the first time. So it's really hard. It's hard to know how to pitch the movie without getting into dangerous territory, without having Paramount kick our doors down and lock us up.
And I understand, and I agree with everything you say. So with that, how do you build a trailer without showing too much and showing stuff at the same time? How do you trick the trailers that you put scenes that are not related? Do you add extra scenes? How do you do a trailer like that?
Well, the Paramount marketing put together a great trailer, and it was a lot of back and forth, a lot of conversations about how do you get people excited about this, and then also how do you preserve the movie so that you can go into the movie as fresh as possible. And honestly, they've been wonderful. And I think one of the things that we really lucked out on, that we stepped into with this, is Scream exists. People know what Scream is. In our past movies, you just have no idea what it is. So the inclination is, how do we make a trailer that really sells the whole thing and blah, blah, blah. On this, people understand Scream. They know Scream to a certain extent. So if we can remind you that it's a scary movie, that Ghostface is going to be terrifying, and there's going to be some characters who hopefully you'll grow to love, and there'll be some great emotion and great humor, let yourself enjoy the experience as raw as possible.
And
when you actually get to see it.
Is it easy to keep the plot secret when you're shooting, or how you fight spoilers? Is there techniques? How does it work?
It's really impossible. And part of that is just the age that we live in, right? And what the sort of status and the visibility of a Scream movie is. That was when we were shooting, we were dealing with that. We had photographers showing up, people walking onto the set to take photos. I mean, which was something totally new for us. We have not had that experience before. But everyone, I think. And this is also the real fans, the people who really love these movies too. They're not interested in having it spoiled. That's one of the things that we've really found is as fans ourselves, like the experience that we wanted to have with the franchise and with the new movies in this, in this world, in this universe, that there are people out there that also are just like, no, I don't want to know anything. Like, I want to go in as sort of fresh and as clean as possible. But I think it's really hard to avoid that. And we try our best, and we hope people that don't want that want to go in totally blind, that they can choose to do that. And it's obviously becoming increasingly difficult with social media and all of the various forums out there where people are really talking about this movie. But it's been an interesting thing to know, like, what to share and what to protect. And I think we're still kind of figuring it out.
Oh yeah, white knuckling it.
White knuckling it.
And did the original cast immediately said yes, or did you have to convince them?
We got in touch with everybody. It started with the producers and the writers, and Jamie Vanderbilt, one of the producers, writers, getting Kevin on board. Then they got us on board, and then we in concert with them reached out to the original cast, and everybody just, I think, wanted to be secure in the idea that we understood Scream, that we love Scream, that everything about this is a love letter and not a cash grab or just some other, like, let's do another one just cause. This was like coming from a place of fandom first and foremost. When Jamie found out that this was a possibility, it was, that movie changed my life. I want to help create the next chapter in that. And then from there, the ball started rolling. And, I think, again, we're still pinching ourselves that David, Nev, and Courtney all got on board. Like, that's
crazy.
We were the whole time just, fuck, I can't wait. Like, that's next level.
So the idea was to continue the saga at the same time reinvent it in a way, I guess, because I guess Woodsboro since 2011 has changed a lot. I mean, you know, our time has changed a lot also, and our society.
Yeah,
And
I think that that was really the challenge. The challenge of the script was finding a real compelling reason for the movie to exist, right? I mean, that's the challenge of any, I think, of any sequel in any franchise. But with this specifically, you know, having been 10 years since the last movie, Jamie and Guy, they really wanted to explore what the previous movies have done to those characters, right? Like how they've dealt with or not dealt with the grief and the trauma of of what they've experienced. And you know, that's a really interesting idea and a really rich idea for us. There's a lot to do with that. There's a lot to explore. And so with that sort of running under the legacy cast is like a, you know, we all of course want to know, like, what happened to Sid, what happened to Gale, what happened to Dewey. There's also an opportunity to bring a new crop of characters, really interesting, really fun, really dynamic group of characters into the mix, and show the world, like, what does a Ghostface attack look like now in 2021, 2022? You know, what happens 10 years later when all of a sudden this horrific thing is happening again, and how are people dealing with that and living with that in the world where, you know, as Kevin and Wes designed, are aware of the killer within the world of the movie. And there's just so many fun opportunities in that. And Guy and Jamie checked every single box. They like found every corner of what's cool about that idea and wrote into it. So it really does feel like it deserves to be told. Like, we were so impressed when we read the script, just how much it felt like, yeah, this movie, of course, this feels like the natural continuation of this saga.
uh-huh. What do you think made Wes Craven's movies so unique in a way? You know, in his style of directing and filming. And
I think it's, you know, it's an attention to craft, and it's attention to deeper thematic stuff going on at work, while also presenting a really wonderful hook, you know, and that goes all the way back to Last House on the Left, and then I think really peaks with Nightmare on Elm Street, you know, where you have this insanely, like, once in a lifetime just big hook, but then you also have these wonderful characters dealing with real life trauma, and what is that, how do those things relate? And then again with Scream, you know, to be able to do those two movies within what, 12 years of each other. I mean, those are two all-timers that changed an entire genre. And, you know, it's that attention to scares, it's attention to character, it's attention to the emotion that's kind of fueling everything underneath the scares. And it's something that we've infused into all our work growing up with Wes Craven. So then to get to kind of merge our sensibilities that in a lot of ways were given to us via the Wes Craven filmography, and then create a new Scream based on that, it's, you know, it's pretty special to us.
I feel like too, the other thing that Wes did, and I think that we're kind of we're probably able to sort of speak more clearly about it now in hindsight, is it was always clear he sort of destigmatized the genre in a lot of ways, and part of that was just there was a level of like heart in the work that he did, that it was. I think a lot of people thought, oh man, horror movies are so dangerous, and like we don't want anything to do with them or the people that create them, and I think that it's just so clear in his work that there's more happening in his movies, and conceptually, and they feel unsafe, but then you're always aware that, you know, there's something really meaningful that matters happening under the surface, and I think in a lot of ways, you know, he helped destigmatize the genre. He helped make it feel more accessible to more people, and certainly we are the beneficiaries of that. I mean, we wouldn't be making the work we're making now if it wasn't for him.
I saw that David Arquette is hosting like an Airbnb Scream at the Scream House. I guess you probably saw that also.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah,
we just want to go stay. Yeah. We would love to go hang out with David Arquette in that house. That sounds like a great time.
I just recently saw his movie, You Cannot Kill David Arquette. I didn't know he was that much into wrestling. It's pretty amazing movie.
It's incredible, right? Movie. Yeah, we watched it right days before meeting him in real life when we were in Wilmington shooting, and the empathy and respect that kind of demands of the viewer for David is just incredible. You're like, oh wow, you're like a real special human being who's been through some shit, and really just such a wonderful, one of the kindest people we've ever met or worked with. So giving, so wonderful, and it all comes through in that movie. That movie was just wow.
He's like a real Renaissance man. Like the number of
Really
crazy, awesome things that David has going on.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you saw recently, but like he bought up the Bozo the Clown Library and is like rebooting Bozo. And I mean, he just has he has the most
Making clowns cool
interesting.
again.
Yeah, he has the most interesting and diverse like collection of things that he loves, and he chases all of them so wholeheartedly. We just love him dearly.
Mhm.
And do you have like a favorite Scream? Sure. Do you have like a favorite Scream scene in the Scream saga? You know, like a sequence that is your favorite? Or...
I got, you know, the one that I go to in just terms of sequences and scenes, not necessarily kills. I love the entire sequence of Sid getting home, watching the news, falling asleep, getting the phone calls, going outside, running upstairs, running into David Arquette with the mask. You know, that whole sequence, I think, for me, is one of my favorite in the franchise. And it's especially in the first movie. It's when I feel like I really like lock into the kind of warm blanket that has become rewatching that movie. You know, it's just it's got everything.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, I think obviously the opening of the first one's the easy, is like the low hanging fruit answer. For me, I also just love the scene in Scream 2 where Sydney and Haley have to crawl out of the car. I just think that that's like one of the design of that is it's one of the smartest, most tense moments, and it has that thing that Kevin and Wes I think have just become known for and have now, I mean, everybody, you know, attempts to do so well in all of their work, is just the stacking of obstacles, like layer on layer on layer. The second it feels safe, they pull the you know, the cord out from under you, the sheet out from under you, and you're like, oh fuck, now there's a new challenge, a new obstacle, and they just stack obstacle after obstacle. And that's one for me that just, I squirm every time I watch it, even though I know it's going to happen. It's so good.
Okay, my time is up. Well, thanks a lot, and I can't wait to be in January to you know to see the real thing.
Thank you. We can't wait for you to see it.
You.
Yeah. Bye bye. Take care.